I'm currently working on multiple manuscripts, multiple books, and what tends to happen is I'm working on one project while something's really, really exciting me on another one. So my mind's just going, I can't wait to touch that topic. So sometimes I'll work on multiples. That's why there's always multiples on the go. So there's three more to come. Something happened today, and it's usually something that just triggers me, and it sears into my soul. It literally bothers me that much. And that's pushing me towards like one of the other manuscripts that's already in development. But it's like I really want to delve into it. So there's effectively three chapters I want to hone in on, like quite deeply at the moment. I did video recently, and I said about some of the things that like bothered me the most. One of them was the cancel culture. The other one, trends. I hate the way that people are just on original thought. Everyone's just a carbon copy of each other. It's sad and a bit pathetic, to be totally honest. And it's literally took over the whole of social media. And he said, people, I don't know how you remove that, because it's effectively cheap ways to gain progress. That's all it is. Cheap ways to gain progress. People just use sound bites. They'll use trends. They'll copy and mimic. No originality. Drives me absolutely nuts. Cancel culture and the fact that some people target other people specifically to try to ruin what they're building, really. Either try to ruin their I'm trying to figure the word now. Character. So you're trying to ruin their character, you're trying to ruin their business, you're trying to ruin something just to try to destroy them, really. All for personal gain but people will hide behind as it's for societal reasons, you know. So they hide behind a society thing, but really they're trying to target an individual, you know, at the expense of whatever the hell their trend they're trying to. It usually blends. So there's something else that's bothering me as well, and it's gender bias. That bothers me immensely. It bothers me immensely because there's no winners with that. Gender bias has been prevalent like throughout history, where women have particularly been suppressed and marginalized. But what inevitably happens, and it's the same with racism, there's biases around the world, you know. It's like people just don't seem to learn at all. What happens is when one side, one party feels marginalized, they naturally start to try to marginalize the other. So it ends up this tit-for-tat situation, rather than people just come together and recognize, instead of just thinking of themselves as you're a woman, you're a man, it's like we're people. Fundamentally, we're people. So yeah, there's a time and a place to focus on the gender. Absolutely. When there's an inequality, absolutely focus on that. There was a video I saw earlier, and you know, they were sitting around the pool. Very popular social media person I'm not impressed with, but their partner, whoever they were with, the woman, for instance, she was laughing, you can feel she felt comfortable, she was just pretty, so she was, you know, it's all on camera and they're just chilling. But again, like, women know how to exploit their beauty, but I'm not saying that specifically. You know, when you see content. But I thought, like, it looked like her underwear was like ripped slightly. I thought that's freaking weird. Like, why would you record that? But it didn't. As they got further into this thing, they all started freaking out because apparently she was on her period, and the blood had seeped through her clothes. And naturally, like, you're thinking that's embarrassing for them. Like, I'm just thinking genuinely that's just embarrassing for you. Like, you know, not a ridicule in any way. But guys, like, look, this is what I'm getting at. There's times when, you know, it's really important to empower women through a situation. I started seeing comments, and I just thought, these guys are just idiots. They're just so many guys are immature. They can't handle something that's natural, so they poke fun. So the person they're with was comparing it to peeing yourself and things, and I thought it's nothing like that at all. Peeing yourself is a voluntary thing. Menstruating on your period is involuntary. It's just natural. So, you know, I don't see how a woman shouldn't have to feel ashamed for anything like that, you know, because it's a natural process. So women obviously coming to the defense, and they're saying, you know, it's natural. It happens to all of us. And then you get guys comment, well, it hasn't happened to me. Well, no shit, Sherlock. But yeah, I think making people feel embarrassed for something that is just natural, I just think that's just sad. You know, so that's a bit where I think women can come out to their defense. I think you can have, that's where there is something different. So yeah, there's a time to empower women with that, I think, and just make it realize that it's normal. And I think it's really important we do normalize things, because you should never have to feel embarrassed about something that the body is just naturally doing. So like I said, I felt like embarrassed for them, like sorry for them, but I didn't feel like in a sense of ridicule in any way. It's more like compassion, because you just know how the people around will react, and it's kind of like you have eventually have to be strong enough in yourself to understand that you're just around immature people. So even if they're laughing, you don't have to feel insecure in yourself, because you just know it's just a natural situation. But again, this is deviating from the topic at hand, but understanding that some of us are mature enough to handle situations. Maybe that's maybe to take from it. So I'm just going to show a couple of videos, and it's not in relation to that, but hopefully this gives some sort of like perspective shift on things. Because like I said, the gender biases get on my absolute nerves, to the point where if someone is pushing one gender specifically, I detach immediately. Like, I don't care how famous you are, how wealthy you are, what opportunities you've got. If there's a bias, I'm not even listening. I couldn't give a shit what you've got to say, because all of a sudden you've lost half your audience. So, like for instance, people might think, well, how comes people are looking but they're not interacting? Well, you've turned me off immediately. I'm just going the other way. You could be saying the most profound thing, and it could be like life change. I'm not listening. I'm not listening, because you've already got an agenda, and I'm not playing with it. Some people will say, oh, it's not that deep. It's not that deep to some people. To me, it's deep. So here's this, something so innocuous. We're not going to play it because we don't need to. It's 15 seconds. Again, it's one of those things where people put an image and it's all about the text. This is trend shit. Whether this is a trend, I don't know. I haven't seen it before, but I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of these ones where they put text over the top is trends. You see idiots as well, like laughing, smart, like doing this weird shit in the background. And they put text over it, and it's like, we're supposed to be taking from the text, and that's what you're contributing. That's your main contribution, is your stupid looks, just so you can put some text over the top. And every single one of the videos, same thing. And I'm thinking, this is just shit. This isn't even worth watching, and yet your whole profile's built on this. I'm not saying this about this person. There's a guy I've seen doing it. It drives me absolutely nuts. That's nothing to do with this content, but again, that's that trend shit. So this is going to merge because of my invitation. Like I say, there's 3 topics that I want to hone in on one of my books, which already has so much content anyway, but these are things I can't let go. My soul won't let go of it. So this person's put girl to girl. Well, that obviously discludes me. So there's no, whatever you've got to say at this point is irrelevant, isn't it? Because this is your girl to girl conversation. Okay. Don't know why I'm seeing it, because I'm not a girl. Yeah. Didn't need to do that. You could have just left that shit out. Why did you need it? Girl to girl. Why is that irrelevant? Why is that relevant when you read what they've got to say next? Now, bear in mind, I've done 6 books. You've seen there. I've got manuscripts on the go. Writing a book all on your own when everyone around you says you need a real job is hard. I can relate to that. Bloody hell. All my books have been done during a crisis, been hardships, and nobody's invested in my journey apart from me. I've believed my vision. I was so tempted to leave a comment in support. I'd say this a lot. I don't tend to engage in other people's content. I don't do comments much. I'm not a commenty person. I like, or I repost. And I straight away, had they just gone down that path of writing a book all on your own when everyone around you says you need a real job is hard, I would have then thought, you know what? I can relate to that. I'll support. I'll say something kind. But she said girl to girl, so I excluded me. Like, I don't understand why you need to exclude someone. Why? And it's this feminist culture, though. This is this culture. But again, there'll be guys that do the same thing. So this is what I'm talking about, though. It's that division in society that's just incredibly unnecessary. What's the point of that? Like, what is the point of just excluding other people? Like someone else has put, of course it's all going to be women now, because that's what they've excluded all men from the conversation. So, like, I'm not going to go through it too deep, because it's irrelevant to a point, but straight away, look, having a real job writing a book is exhausting. Absolutely. I say that a lot. If you're just working on a project and people don't consider it work, well, that's interesting, because once you're working, now you've got 2 jobs and everybody else gets to piss about when they go home. So what point is it work and not work? What is it? Yeah, I mean, look, it's all just women now. And that's what they do. It creates division. There was no need for division. Why can't people support people? I don't understand. Anyway, and then it'd be the same people who just start men hating, and this is what I'm talking about. And this isn't supposed to side with just men. If you see my content, for instance, I never just say, oh, to all the guys out there, I don't do that shit. You don't see me doing that shit. I talk about in a couple of my books, we've got a family call, the personal trauma with all that. And there is an incredible bias in the UK towards mothers. It favours mothers. In America, apparently, it's the opposite. They actually favour fathers. There shouldn't be this favouritism. I'm not. Sometimes I might put Fathers for Justice in the hashtag just to raise awareness, but I don't actually go out of my way saying Fathers for Justice or all this shit, because I recognise there's women in similar situations. There's mothers who are ostracised from their situation, you know? So I don't want to discriminate. I wouldn't want a woman to feel like her journey is insignificant because of her gender. Because a victim is a victim. You know, and that pisses me off, and it really does bother me when people are marginalised just because of their gender, when they may go through something very similar, and their gender has no bearing on it. Like I said there, when the woman was menstruating, and that was an embarrassing situation, around a group of women, I mean, even the odd woman's probably going to poke fun and laugh because people just like cruel. But I think there'd be far more compassion. So in that situation, yeah, that's a female situation where you empower each other to understand that this is a normal occurrence. This isn't something you should feel ashamed about. And I think, yeah, guys should be more mature. They should be able to handle situations. Stop being so pathetic. But again, so like I said, there's time when there is empowerment. But I think when it's a general situation, I just don't understand why you'd marginalise people. It winds me up. So like I say, when I saw the video, I was like, I'm not even watching your shit. I'm not even watching it. You've just. Now again, I say some people say it ain't that deep, but it is that deep because this is what represents society in general. You know, people see this content and they naturally, even if they're not, like, it might even be subconsciously, there's a feeling that it's us against them, and it's just so stupid. It really is, and I see it time and time again. Where even like if we're going to go down that path, because at the moment this is what they've done. They've created division. So what's it saying about men? You know, I see it all the time where men are this, men are that. You can't trust men. You can't trust a lot of women either. It's not, that's what I'm talking about. It's a gender bias. It's got nothing to do with gender. It's personality. You can't trust men. They cheat. There's plenty of women that have cheated too. You know, so let's not, don't sugarcoat it. It's like, it's a personality thing. It's not a gender thing. There are things we should talk about, and it will involve other genders. Like if you're going to talk about equality, for instance, because that's where it starts to go. It's this feminist movement. If we go equality, when you consider divorce proceedings and things, this is where I get a bit annoyed, where people jump on the bandwagon. Because if you took a neutral position on things in life, even something as simple as a divorce, a settlement, where two parties have split and they're going to go and live their own lives. Why is it that women, majority of women, I say majority because if a lot of things favour women, and I never understand it. Like, why is it not neutral? If you go through a divorce settlement, surely it should be 50-50. Or let's say, or if someone had, it should be 50-50. In my opinion, things should be 50-50 based on when you met. So if someone already amassed a fortune or something before they met, that's their person's fortune. That should be safety capped. What was earned while you were together? Because of course you don't know what was happening behind closed doors, the support they were giving, the investment, and all this stuff. So yeah, you should be entitled to a 50-50 split. What was gained and all these things, but it's not the case. So I see it time and time again where women, and this isn't me trying to attack women, but I think if you're going to bury your head in the clouds, you've got an agenda anyway. I don't come at situations with an agenda; it's an awareness. Why is it when you hear a lot of divorce proceedings and even custody issues that women are looking to suck the man dry, but not the other way around? And people can say, "Oh, it's not." That is the case. I think people have seen it. It's just that because it favours women, women naturally defend it. That's a gender bias. It shouldn't be a bias. It should just be amicable. It should be standard that is fair, and life is not fair. So, you know, I say when you get these discrepancies, it gets a bit annoying because unless you talk on it, nothing changes. We are all equals. Okay, our bodies have different functionalities. Maybe we have different interests at times, but you'll find like there's this. We're similar. Everybody's similar because we're people. There's just little nuances that are different, but not as big as people think. So, like I say, I wouldn't sit there and go, "Oh, I don't have this stereotypical ideology of women for instance, that women naturally cheat. I think people can naturally cheat. I think weak-minded people who are not mature enough to handle situations, people who are not evolved enough to understand there's more to life than just physical intimacy and things like that, because that's what happens really. People they've got no self-worth, no self-value, no concept of more to life than just simple act of love, if you want to call it whatever. It's just short-term distractions, and it's like animal instincts. Not everybody has that animal instinct. They have literally control of themselves and have more interests than just beyond that, and that's the reality. That's men and women. So like, I'm not here to standardize things. My mum is very, very similar to me as a person, and by extension my daughter is too. So you got two females and one male. Our personalities are similar. Of course, they have different traits here and there, but I would consider them loyal people, high morals, integrity. These are things we share amongst ourselves. And so clearly that's not a gender, is it? That's not a gender-related issue. So if I know that inherently within them, then why would I taint every woman as someone who has no values and cheats and things? Because that's clearly not true. And then you say the same for men, and it's clearly not true, because I'm an example of not that. And it's like people, because they want to fit you in a box, they'll say, yes, you are, you're hiding something. It's like, that's because you want me to be hiding something. You're trying to devalue me to fit your agenda. Again, gender bias, like what we're doing. This is one example here. Like I say, it pisses me off. I'll talk on topics that piss me off all the time, and I won't be quiet. And like I said, I'll switch off. So if I meet people in life and I know it's not even about just if they're women talking, just favouring women, even if it's men favouring men, I'll switch off. I don't give a shit what you've got to say beyond that, because there's an agenda. As soon as you've got an agenda attached to something, I've got no interest, because it's just agendas. Again, unless there's something specific about it, there's very much, like I said, the menopause, not menstruation thing. Yeah. So anyway, what's this one? Girl to girl, at the end of the day, it's just you and your degree, so study hard, girl. I mean, how much emphasis is there on girl in this bloody statement? Now, I get it. Maybe there's a lot of women, they lose themselves to relationships, they attach themselves to guys, and it's like that becomes sort of like their barometer of success, really. And they, maybe you'd say statistically, perhaps that's the situation. But again, I think that goes both ways. You see it time and time again. Let's say someone decides they're not going to go to college or university because they're in a relationship and they don't want to let them go. But you say statistically, it's not likely you'll stay together forever. So you should focus on your own growth, your own journey. I get that, but why has it got to be specific to women? Why not? This is what I'm talking about. Like, if you just take away half the shit she just said and just said at the end of the day, it's just you and your degree, so study hard. That's a big statement. That's a good statement. That's positive. That can have a real good impact on society as a whole. But she's marginalised it just as women now, and she's literally just pushed away all guys. And again, if you spread over, actually one guy commented by the look of it, but if you was to look over, you'd find the majority of them now are going to be women again, because that's literally what they've done. They've disassociated an awful lot of society by putting an agenda out there immediately. Yes, there's one guy started at the top, and it's all women after that. For one, I haven't even looked yet, so I'm just assuming now because I knew it would be. A couple of guys. I think that might be a guy. Maybe 3 guys out of the whole lot so far, and that's a lot of scrolling. And I said you could argue it's not that deep, but it is, because you're going out of your way to say "gal." They've literally said "gal" 3 times in that one, and I think this one had it. This one had it twice. Holy shit! What have I just noticed? What have I just noticed? It's a whole trend favouring gender discrimination. Talk about trends. This is pissing me off double now, because it literally does both things I don't like. I don't like gender bias. I don't like discrimination. Either way. But also I don't like trends. Straight away. Because I'm picking up on the word girl. Literally, look at the title of that. Girl to girl. I press play so you can get rid of that play button. Girl to girl. That's interesting. You started with girl to girl. And then a little statement about what you're doing and why it's hard. Girl to girl. So that's girls to girls, a trend then. That's a trend. If they put girl to girl on here, women supporting women, girls support girls. So it's not people support people. So you wonder why there's a division in society. Because again, it leans one way or the other. So as soon as you start heavily discriminating one side, who feels aggrieved? And then who starts pushing back? And again, it goes both ways. This feminist movement, for instance, it started to get to the point where women are empowering themselves. It's the over-empowerment. Now, all of a sudden, they don't want men to do anything for them. So if you open a door, you're disrespectful now. You're taking away their rights, their dignity, because now you're saying they can't open it. It's overthinks, overanalyzes everything. And then after that, then they start, then because women have got so far removed from equality, then they start to wonder, wait a minute, why is there no nice guys out there? Why are there no guys to do this, to do that? Because now you're accusing them of being this and that. Guys, at this present time, guys can't win one way or another. And it's because of things like this. And it's just the way it is. Like, it should just be even across the board, you know? Be respectful of humans. So now what I'm going to do is show an example now, the other side of this. Because like I said, you got a lot of women accusing guys of being like cheaters, they've got no dignity and all this stuff. I'm just going to show an example right now. And a lot of people, you'd say these two seem educated enough. One's writing a book and one's studying. So on the face of it, you would argue that it doesn't mean they're not feminine. It doesn't mean they don't have desires outside of that. But you wouldn't say they're exploiting their body. They're using their mind. So there is that side of things. And of course, if you was to say that there's plenty of women that exploit themselves for their own financial gains, some women will try to defend it to the core and say that's not the case at all. They've been exploited. They're forced to do it. Well, we'll have a look at a couple of images, and we'll say whether you think they're being exploited or whether they're doing it because they've found an easy way to make money, which is the clear and obvious answer. The same obviously goes for guys too. So there's guys who are intelligent. There's guys that have put their mind to use, and there'll be other guys who just got their top off and things, and they're exploiting their body. Again, this is systematic across both genders. It's not just specific to men or women, but what tends to happen is a gender bias is formed either way. So a lot of guys are favour guys, a lot of women are favour women, and you end up with this complete division within society, and it pisses me off because it's so unnecessary. Like, literally, what is the point of marginalise? So I'm just going to show an example here, and you can tell, like, what I'm actively doing in this video is I'm turning the comments off. Some videos I have comments off anyway. This one is purposely because I want to show what it's like to marginalise. I want to show what it feels like to not be able to share your voice because someone has silenced it. So this topic might actually irritate people where they want to talk. I'm not worried about people's opinions. I'm just making a point that you see what it's like when you can't speak. That's not right. But I'm going to do it to make it a point. There you go with that one. So let's look at her. She's pretty. Now I can understand this. You could say, well, they're just feminine. They're just showing that they just want to feel pretty. You know, there's nothing sexual about it. On the one hand, you could think that, but I would look and think it's quite promiscuous. The bra is incredibly short. They're literally wearing shorts. They're exposing their, well, you could either say underwear, but it's like bikini, whatever you want to call it. For me, bikini is no different to underwear anyway. But that's up to people what they want to call variances. Again, teach their own, but this is where people will defend one way or another. And it's not for me to say whether she's doing anything wrong or not. But it's just, for me, it's just showing a side of society where it's like you can behave a certain way and you have a certain agenda, but people will defend it to its core, the situation to its core, just because of the gender that they're biased towards. And I think if you was neutral and you had just watched as a neutral party and you was share the video, would you think they're sexualizing themselves to exploit people? It's not even exploiting just men, is there? Because there's some women that like women. So are they exploiting their body for money? And does it seem like they're doing it on their own free will? Again, there's an awful lot of videos I see with women with just cleavage is absolutely on show like crazy. Okay, she's having fun. Now, let's see this example. I've only saved these two videos for this purpose. I actually had to go through so many videos just to get these. You know, let's have a look at this one. So you've got someone with two friends. The first the immediate footage you see is them starting off like this. And when you do videos, you can cut the beginning out. So you could have cut the very part out where you go up to the camera and it's a close up. You could have started it wherever you want. You decided to start it with you leaning in on purpose. because you know you're going to get some simple guys who are just going to jump all over this. And it's had 190. This, bear in mind, if we look at trends now, 197,000 likes. I've got no idea how many video views. That's near 200,000 likes. Now, does it look like they're just doing it just because they're having a good time? They just want to show a little bit of fun on camera, or does it look very specific for a reason? Look at her completely with the smallest top you could have. Come on, you only have to use your brain cells for this. This interests me. So people are asking questions. They're literally on purpose avoiding the one that wants the attention. Because to be honest, I'm like that. If someone craves attention to this degree, I wouldn't even be interested. But they put that right girls at please, and and then the other one put up the left girls at. And then someone's put don't sexualize us. Is she being sexual? This plays into it perfect now. This plays into it perfect. She's being sexual. Of course she is. She's put herself in the middle. She's exposed her breasts quite openly, like very visibly. And the way she's posturing and stuff, she's not doing that just for fun. You can see there's too much. She's trying to entice people. But I'm sorry, you've just got to be naive as shit to just think they're just having fun on camera. Come on. Wake up. But anyway, so someone's put don't sexualize us, and then someone's put, is she being sexual, or does she just have boobs and isn't in baggy clothes? And then someone's put, if she had surgery, you would comment, and Angel lost its wings, so don't come here with this BS. I'm sorry, it's quite obvious she's sexualizing herself. I don't care. I have not seen enough. I haven't gone through their content, so I wouldn't know what the rest of their content is. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not here to try and like pick at people. I just want to show, really, because I think the whole point of that really is just to show that, you know, guys get exposed as this and they get accused of that, and it's like women are trying to push one way or another, but there's still women that do sexualize themselves, and they always will do, because it's an easily exploitation to take advantage of guys, you know. I know me talking on that contradicts the message, but the whole point there is to raise awareness of situations, because there's this, like I say, a lot of biases come from misinformation and misunderstanding. So, yeah, the misunderstanding is that guys are disgusting, guys like easily susceptible to sort of being enticed and things. But then you've got to look on the other side of that and look for what is being done to entice them. There's no morals, no boundaries. There was something else I saw, a video. This girl was put this thing over comment. I'm not going to go look all for that now. It'd be a nightmare trying to find it. And she said her boyfriend's coming over, and this is what my friend's doing. And their friend was literally doing all their hair and everything. So either they were just trying to make themselves look good in general, or they were doing it to try to entice that person's boyfriend to them. And it's like, that's outrageous, isn't it? Like, the standard's a joke. But like I say, you know, these are little things, but it's like, unless we're absolutely honest with ourselves and can have a transparent reflection upon society, there's always going to be division. So the things I was pointing out there at the beginning, like when you talk about the writing, when you talk about the studying, I don't understand how that's independent to women. Like, why is that not a broad statement? And it can reach far more people. So it can be inspiring to others, but instead they just wanted to marginalize guys. And you know, I just don't understand it. It's like, it winds me up. So I'm going to be delving, like, my books are covering different topics at the moment. I've got other books to do, but I will be focusing heavily on those 3 areas as well. So while I'm working on these other projects, because it's really dependent on what book I put it in, there's 2 specific books. One's focused more on society, one's focused more on personal growth. It could literally go into either. The society one's coming last, so there's 3 books. Society one with the 3rd one. So it's whether I put it in there. But either way, while I'm working on this one that's coming next, I will be working on those chapters too, because they're big things for me. And like, while I might have crossed over with some of the things I've said, when I write in my books, I can really hone in on what I want to say. Like, I can't edit why I talk, but I can edit why I write. So when I'm writing, I'll be able to articulate it exactly how I want it to be said. So there's no ambiguity, there's no misunderstanding. It's like literally, this is what I mean, and this is what I'm saying. And I just find, for the most part, a lot of social media is just toxic anyway. I get really fed up with it. I call it, I doom scroll a lot. Like I get so fed up. It's like everything's so shallow. There's just too much shallow content on social media, and I don't like it. So I'm like, can't stand that, can't stand that, can't stand that, can't stand that. Yeah, and I find some people are absolutely patronizing as well. This doesn't go to the gender bias. This just goes to beyond content creators. I think some content creators, they mumble. Some keep having terrible mannerisms where they'll keep saying like, okay, right, at the end of every sentence, or and it drives you nuts when you notice it. Like I cannot switch off once I hear these things. It's triggering the shit to me. Yeah, and then there's some who, in all honesty, I recognise they don't really know what they're talking about, so they go around in circles, and then I get fed up hearing that. So I can be overly critical of things, but it's just the way my mind works, you know. It's just, I don't know. But that's I think most of social media really isn't as interesting as the content creators portray it to be, in my opinion, because there's too many trends, too many copycats. So there's no original thought or lack of. And it all plays perfectly, really, into what I said at the beginning, the cancel culture. I really don't care about things like that. So I'll have an opinion on topics that will actually people will probably try to cancel me. I always anticipate it coming at some point, but I don't care, because if people want to misrepresent what I'm saying because they're not mature enough to handle a conversation, then that's really up to them, isn't it? Because again, it's the gender bias. If it doesn't favour the bias, then it becomes a cancel movement, doesn't it? And then that becomes a trend, and then the merry-go-round goes round. It just goes round in circles. But in there, it kind of makes the point, doesn't it? Because if you think about it, when you have a bias towards anything, a lot of time it's illogical. If you break it down and look at something, you think, why is it like that? And what is your agenda? Because if you're going to be fair and reasonable, you wouldn't have a bias. I'm not biased towards women, and I'm not biased towards men. I have a focus on people. And I think life should just be fair. Anyway, so I will speak up on topics that I consider unfair. And that's why I talk on them. Because injustice bothers me immensely. So like I say, over the next, I don't know how long, I'll probably be focusing on my creativity, really. I might not be doing so many videos. So if the videos drop off, it's because I'm focused in other areas, either relaxing to enjoy myself or other creative pursuits. It could very well be that I'm just working on the book projects, because it's important I focus on them at some point to get the next ones out. And yeah, and people can then judge me then, you know. But I'm a guy, so, you know, the feminists or the feminist movement, the ones who want to... It's not even just a feminist movement, really, because there's nothing wrong with being feminine. There's nothing to do with that at all. It's just that you end up getting, like I said, the bias gets to the point where it discriminates. And as a guy, I'm sure I'll get discriminated against. But I don't really care. It's like, discriminate all you want. Because at the end of the day, these are things you can't control, you know? It's not my fault I was born a male, but then why should I feel guilty for being a male? And I think that's where it comes full circle, isn't it? What did I do wrong? Talk on topics that don't fit someone's agenda. That was the crime. Interesting. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to keep going on. But like I said, I'm going to disable comments purposely. And I'll even disable the ability, when people click like and dislike, it won't come up with any statistics. I'm just making an example here, because that is discriminating. That is taking away people's freedoms. It's taking away what's fair. Wonder what that's like.